Let's go.
2 games, 2 hard hats.
2 hard hats, 2 wins, 2 work days. Hard hats, lunch pails, steel toe boots. Bobby Manning in the building right off the jump with us. What's going on?
Yeah, what's up, Bobby?
Great win. Great win. I thought the Celtics got challenged tonight, especially in that second half. They lose the rebounding battle. The Hawks shoot way more than they did. The three-pointers flew up in droves of the Hawks. And the Celtics defense so firm. Dominated Young again, took him out of the game. Blocked 12 shots, just one short of the franchise record, which I guess got set last year. I don't even remember that. And all those forced turnovers, they win that turnover battle and ride that to a win. Plays in the second half from Tatum. A great effort. I think this is a good experience. Series isn't going to look close. I think the Hawks are playing them a way that's really challenging them in some of their weak areas and forcing them to respond. They're doing a great job with it so far.
It is interesting if you look at this game statistically. Outside of the offensive rebounding, in which amounted in a few more second chance points, but not nearly as many as you would think, this is statistically as lopsided a game as you could have. The Celtics dominated almost every single category. I mean, they shot 56% from the floor, 46% from three. As you mentioned, Bobby, it's the attempts. The Hawks are clearly trying something here by jacking a ton of threes. But I mean, almost everything here. At the end of the day, the rebounding battle ended up 54-48. The Celtics just got beat up on the glass. 28 assists for the Celtics, as you mentioned, 12 blocks. The turnovers were relatively low. They gave up a couple there late, but it was like at 11 with a couple minutes to go. 80% free throws. The Hawks shot 50%. The points in the paint, 64-40. Celtics were getting whatever they wanted this game pretty easily. Yet Atlanta was able to keep it close, which is, again, somewhat surprising, given the statistical kind of ass whooping that this was.
Yeah, I mean, they're creating more possessions. I know Joe's going to talk about that in just a few minutes here. Whether it's the rebounding and those second effort shots, whether it's the amount of threes they're able to get up, they're keeping those marginal areas close. And like you said, they can't protect the rim. They can't shoot like the Celtics did. They don't have as much depth as Boston does. That bench difference is becoming a huge factor right now. I thought Brogdon was great again tonight with White. Rob, ginormous impact off the bench. So they're doing what they can, and you just see that the Celtics are too good, too focused. I thought they responded every time the Hawks went on a little run there. I am intrigued by that DeJounte Murray run, though. What did he score? 8 straight points at one point, maybe 11?
Yeah.
That's going to be interesting. I don't know how the Hawks maximize that because you see they have to throw a Young right back in there. He had that nice little 8-point run between the third and the fourth, but then they're going at him again on offense, and he's just kind of getting swallowed up in there. He does get to the free throw line, but overall, he's just ineffective in this series. He can't get any matchups. He can't create separation. That shot isn't there for him. It's almost like they can't play him. He's just a known factor.
It's a bad matchup for him because the Celtics have big gods, Jimmy.
Yeah, big gods.
So you know what, it's hard for him to get the shot off, and he's obviously can get hunted and exposed on defense there. He hurts him in a lot of ways here. You're right. Go ahead, Jimmy.
No, I mean everyone's gonna point at Trey first, but if you want to look at what really hurt the Hawks tonight, it's their lack of anything in the paint. No big man presence at all tonight. Capella, 4.7 rebounds. Collins, 5.6 rebounds. We already talked about it. What the Celtics did whatever the hell they wanted to do on offense in the paint. I loved how the Celtics attacked tonight. If you just took a look at the box score of just like shot attempts, you would think that the Celtics were the team that the Hawks were. 40-something threes and whatnot and all that stuff. But no, the Celtics, they scored from inside. Like John said, they did whatever they wanted. I thought they pretty much made Atlanta's bigs non-existent. So yeah, we can criticize Trey, but this is Trey's game. He's a volume shooter. He's gonna hit a lot of shots. He's gonna miss a lot of shots, and the Hawks are gonna live and die by that. I love Murray on that team, Bobby, but like you said, when he's hot, what do you do with Trey? Trey's not just gonna go away.
And neither of these guys can play off ball.
No, you're right. I mean, it hasn't worked out, I think, the way anyone thought it would. In terms of effectiveness, but we knew how good Murray was as a player, and you saw it tonight. I mean, he was just draining shots from three tonight. What did he end up with? 7 of 13 from three. So
I love Murray.
I do too. I mean, he's a complete player for sure. It's too bad he's on this Hawks team that's most likely
It
not going
seemed weird when
anywhere.
they
But
signed him too, because we were like that they could be interesting, but you're right, it's a weird mismatch. It's like Trae Young's just a piece that doesn't fit right now.
yeah, so that's the Hawks for you. I mean, that's the Hawks. They're outmatched. Let's be honest. I mean, we all knew it going in. I think most of us predicted a sweep. A couple people, couple cowards predicted a gentleman's sweep. So I don't think anyone's surprised. The Celtics are going to Atlanta up 2-0 in the series.
Yep.
And at this point, it's just kind of the Hawks just don't have the talent to keep up with
Bobby,
them.
before we keep beating on the Hawks, because nobody cares about the Hawks deep down, because the Hawks are going to be a footnote in what you're hoping is a long and glorious playoff
They're a
run, and
skid mark on the
no one's going to
underpants
talk
of the
about it.
league.
So I don't want to spend too much time on what's wrong with Atlanta. There's a lot of things that are going right with Boston, but I want your observational thing. You saw Jalen leave the game. Looking at he took himself out, it looked like. I don't know if you had a good vantage point there. And it looked like he was clutching a lot.
I saw that.
Constantly
He
going
just-
back to it all game long.
He went to it, and then he went to the bench, but nothing from there. No one looked at
Then
it.
he just sat there, and nothing after that. So
I think he might have just whacked it or
he
something. He's
might
dealing
have
with
just
pain.
needed a breather. Who knows? But yeah.
Yeah. Physical game. How many
He's
guys
fine.
got slammed in there around the
Fine.
rim? And they let these guys play. I love that play where Rob and Al obliterated John Collins' shot inside, and Horford.
You
just
saw that
three the
block
other
coming
way.
a mile away. Like Collins is up faking, and they're both sitting there like, like there was
The
no
return-
way that one was getting off.
The return and double big. And interestingly enough, you saw a 3-guard lineup in the fourth quarter, which I loved. Way to
Two things-
maximize those guys' minutes together. And
Two-
White
two
and Smart
things
end up
turned the game.
closing, but
Yeah, two things turned the game. One, they actually went double big early, with Rob and Now. But another was, as you mentioned, the bench there. Celtics came out sleepwalking early, just kind of lost, walking around on defense, didn't really seem to kind of whatever. And the bench really pulled them together with that Brogdon Rob unit. Isn't it amazing? I bet you, I can't, I bet you we could find a show 2 years ago when they played Atlanta and we were talking about Rob Williams and what he could become. And the question was whether he could become Clint Capella.
Yeah.
Seriously, right before when Capella signed that big deal and he was really effective, statistically that year before, numbers looked a lot better. And it was like, can Rob have like a Capella-like career? You watched Rob in the first half tonight. He was the best player on the floor. Not as impactful at all in the second. But again, they kind of go away from him. Like the things that they do in the first half that are successful, they do tend to go away from sometimes. They were throwing it to him and he was just reaching up with those big meat
Brogdon
hooks.
especially.
And just lobbing it up to him, and he would just go up with his stick-em fingers, catch it, bring it in tight, score, or find somebody on a pass. He almost had a beautiful assist to Brogdon, too, that he snuck in. He was doing a lot when they were getting the ball in his hands. He was so freaking active, but he changed the tone of the game there in the second quarter.
Yeah, and we'll talk a lot about
late in the first quarter, rather.
We'll talk a lot about how the Celtics are switching and taking the Hawks out of their game, but the Hawks are trying to do the same thing defensively. And you hear Capella at practice the other day talk about how he's getting spaced out and struggling to stay on the floor. You hear Young and Bogdanovich or whoever it is, or you see them rather, in transition getting beat up on those cross matches. And they did a great job setting Rob up in those. When he can get ahead of the defense and find a mismatch, all they got to do is throw it to him. He's going to finish. And I think he hit 2 or 3 of those today. I think there was another one where he just missed it, getting tossed the pass up the floor. And the game really blew open when Tatum started doing that too before halftime. I mean, the Hawks almost just quit transition defense over that big stretch going into the half. And Celtics ended up going up by 14, which they pretty much held for the rest of the game at that point, more or less. So those cross matches, we knew they were going to be a big deal. Rob creating those steals against smaller guys, it looks like he's getting better at that, or at least he's getting more opportunities to do it, as you said, John.
Yeah.
That's a real key because they can do that against a lot of other teams down the line.
Yeah, Josue, what's the rumpus?
I'll head to gonna go ahead to see Joe, by the way.
Okay, say hi to Joe. Tell him you love him. Tell him we love him.
That might be a good night to do that tonight because he was dialed in. He was focused. He was getting into.
Yeah, it's because Shaughnessy got him all salty prior to the
Yeah, he was not expecting that. That's actually a great point. Because he was just
Shaughnessy
like,
came?
oh yeah,
boy.
he was.
Joe got Shaughnessy'd. I
Love
have it.
that.
I'll play it for you.
That's when you know
you.
you've
Yeah.
made it. That's when you know you've made it.
I go up to Shaughnessy. I go, man. So you're throwing the heater right out the first inning, huh? And he just started laughing. Yeah. I mean, that's what he does. He's gonna ask those kind of
Right,
questions.
Shaughnessy's not a starting pitcher anymore. He just comes in. He comes out of the
Oh, yeah.
bullpen, and
He
he's
just comes out the
throwing
bullpen,
100
just-
He's just throwing 104.
Just throwing flames
Yes,
for
just
one
straight.
inning.
Yeah, that's what he's doing right now. And especially when that was the only part of game one you can really dissect and criticize, right? I mean, he picked the one part, and as soon as he got the microphone in his hand, I was like, oh, I know he's gonna ask.
Yeah, 'cause
Let's
I'm
play
not
it.
sure.
All right, just
Yeah.
for fun. Has nothing to do with tonight, but we're talking about it, so it's fun. But
do
this
it.
was
Oh, it sets the table.
Huh? This was
It's just a
prior to
table,
the
yeah.
game. Joe got a little feisty because, again, if you're going to nitpick something about the Celtics, what was it after game one? Blowing that lead. And, you saw them kind of, whittle one away. Again, I didn't get those vibes. They answered each time. Teams make runs. A lead going from 20 to 9 or 20 to 8, that stuff happens, I felt like they had them at arm's length most of the game. But, I mean, they went from 32 to 12. That was a fairly significant blown lead and led Atlanta into a game they had no business being part of. So
Sure.
Dan Shaughnessy, who we all love and is a friend of CLNS Media, and Jimmy and I know him well from our, NBC days with him kind of roaming the floor and coming in and being Dan, saunters into the
Knew it was a
pregame
big game.
and asks Joe this question. Let's play it right here.
I mean, knowing what you know now, would you have opened it up a little more at the start of the second half, given how it went for the third quarter? I mean, the guys you stayed with kind of didn't respond as well in the third quarter.
I thought we responded pretty well. I mean,
Well, the lead went from 32 to 12.
yes. Was it supposed to go to 52?
Yeah.
So
I just, they
Good
lost.
what is your expectation in that? It was 22 at the end of the half, so and then it got to 12, with 3:04 to go. But I mean, the expectation wasn't for it to get to 52. It was just to try to play the right way all the time. And I thought our guys did that. I thought, there's momentum in the game, right? And so I thought we had momentum for the entire second half. And Atlanta's a really good team, and they're talented, and they put a lot of pressure on your defense. And so I was expecting them to make a run. Some of that run was, self-inflicted because of our turnovers and some of that. But also, we got some good looks, and we didn't make them.
You get the gist of it. Got a little feisty and then just kind of answered the question.
Yeah.
But, that's how it started. It started a little bit feisty, but they didn't really, they did the same thing they do all the time. They slowed it down a little bit in the fourth quarter. Difference, though, they just made all their shots. If the shots weren't falling with the regularity they were, Atlanta could have snuck in, but they just made too many shots. Plus, you had the calming presence of Derrick White all game long.
Yeah.
Literally, like we talked about it last game.
White noise.
I love that. Make the t-shirts.
I like that. That's just
White
white
noise.
noise.
Put that on a T-shirt.
That's phenomenal, actually.
It's just
But
white noise.
White and Brogdon, regardless what their stat lines say, and White had another terrific statistical game again. They just always play the right way, and they settle the game down. So, when things start to feel loose and goofy, it's actually pretty calming having those guys out there, right? And that's what White did. Every time they were getting away from it, White would be like, I got it. Let me do something or attack the teeth of the defense or make the right read and we'll get a bucket and everything will settle down. He did it a million times. That's the stuff you expect out of your superstar, not
Right.
not your, the guy we all agree is the third best player on the team this year, but he's the guy who's give me the ball and let me get us back to where we need to be. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is, John. And it's like I was telling Bobby at the end of the season that one of the ways I like to describe him, especially when you're going up against a team that's only got their focus on Tatum and Brown, right? Is he's slippery. He'll cut through the lanes. He'll make 3-point shots. He'll make you pay. You give him just enough space, and the Hawks gave him a gang of space on so many possessions. And it's funny because the more he heat up, it was like, okay, now you guys have to go slow him down. But here comes Brogdon, or here comes Marcus, right? He got Marcus involved as well. Marcus knocks down a 3-point shot when these guys really needed it. He did it a couple of times. So I just feel like when it comes to Derrick White, he's just going to take advantage of what the defense is giving him. But he does it in a way that it's unpredictable, right? Whether it's attacking, whether it's finding other guys, knocking down 3-point shots. It's always aggressive. And then on defense, he finished with 3 blocks in this one. The kind of energy on the defensive end of the floor that just completely rattles guys like Trae Young, even Murray to a certain extent during stints when they really needed those guys to pick things up. And Trae picked his spots. Trae scored he had his moments, right? But he never found that consistency, and that was key in this one. And even in the first half, when Murray, it took him a while to really get his offense going. The Celtics just made them pay with so many different weapons that the Hawks just couldn't respond to. They just don't have those guys. They don't have those other pieces that are going to produce offensively for them.
Yeah. They don't have them. I'm done talking about the Hawks. I really.
I mean, where's
I am too. I still think
for these guys, like guys like that. Hunter had a pretty good game today, but yeah, I mean, they're just missing
the Hawks. Yeah,
they're just missing those other guys, man.
I still think the Hawks could pull one off in Atlanta. Just like, I don't know, catch the Celtics. Just not, maybe catch them sleeping for an
You don't
extra
believe
quarter.
that, Jimmy?
I mean, I don't know. They have the fire. They have the offense to do it. I just think the Celtics. Obviously we see tonight, like when they're on defensively, man, there were some possessions tonight where whether it was Rob, whether it was Horford, whether it was White, and they were just suffocating those guys out there. And I imagine it's extremely frustrating if you're a guy like Trae Young. Like you said, Josue, he couldn't get comfortable. He couldn't get into any sort of rhythm. I think there was one little stretch he had, but he doesn't seem to be as aggressive as I've watched him in past seasons. I don't know what it is, if he's just relying too much on the shot, but to create.
You know what it is?
Trae Young.
Trae, yeah.
Because that's not what the Hawks need. Like he could be, if he tries to take matters into his own hands, it's just a recipe for disaster. Because the Celtics are they're gonna make him shoot. He doesn't feel comfortable getting into the paint, and when he's in the paint, they swarm him. I mean, Al Horford swiped the ball away from his hands like it was easy. You know what I mean? He's showing the ball in front of people. Like when Trae's rattled, it's like he's better off.
He looks like he's been electrocuted.
Other ways to get other people.
That's a hair issue.
Oh, that's just always.
That's just a hair issue.
Derrick White and Trae Young have a great bad hair off, though, right?
It's
for
the
opposing
best.
guards.
It's the best battle of bad hair in the NBA.
It's the best battle of bad hair.
I don't know, man. I think Trae's got him beat by a mile.
Trae does have him beat. Since Derrick White got the haircut, he's definitely got him beat.
They're both pretty bad. White's got the Bride of Frankenstein thing,
How about the fans? The overrated chants. The overrated chants are pretty loud on the TV. I imagine they're pretty loud in the TD Garden, Josue, for Trae Young.
Yeah, well, he missed the what was it? No, he split the 2 free throws before that. So it was like the crowd was like, okay, next time he gets there, we got something for him. And yeah, it was a loud chant. It was a lot. I didn't see that one coming, but that's just what this crowd's been like. Even obviously Saturday was a different level, but you still felt that in a big way in this game too.
You know that Atlanta crowd is going to be crazy.
Do they even know when the game is?
Right. Boston's sending more media than the Hawks will have fans at the game.
One thing, I forget what magazine or outlet. I thought they were voted like the worst fans too. Right? They might be on something.
Charlotte was. Athletic just did a poll.
Charlotte.
It was Charlotte. Okay, but I want to say Atlanta was probably top 5. But either way, we knew
again. I don't even think Atlanta qualified because they don't actually have fans.
Oh wow! Damn! Shots fired.
Take it.
Listen,
you can't be talking about Atlanta like that.
Hasn't Charlotte taken, or excuse me, Atlanta taken enough ass whippings for the night? You guys are taking shots at them too. Damn!
Kicking them
they just can't catch a break.
Sherrod, I'd love to see the top of your head too.
There
it is.
It's there.
Sherrod came in like.
I don't even know if that's necessarily.
Like, is that John?
Right,
is that John?
I missed you guys.
I love you guys.
Wow. Sherrod, you get a crack.
I'm looking like Sherrod right now. Check me out.
No, you're not, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Trust me. You got to wait.
Real quick before Sherrod's
got the shinier dome.
Before Sherrod's sake, we got to tell you if you guys want to go bet sweep, call it. Right now, Celtics are now title favorites after Milwaukee lost game 1, and now with Giannis hurt and some Giannis news we'll deliver a little bit later as we look way ahead into the playoffs and what this playoff picture might look like. But sign up here, fanduel.com/Boston. If you are into this, you want to lay any action here, you still get this bonus. Is still good, $200 bonus bets when you have your first $5 deposit. Not only basketball going on, but baseball season underway as well. As you know, FanDuel, the official partner of Major League Baseball, as well as the official wagering partner of CLNS Media. So great combination there. You can't lose. If you are interested in doing that, go check it out. The app is super easy to use. And I
got a hot baseball tip tonight that I took. Well, it hasn't happened. I took the over in the Pirates versus Rockies. It was 13. And right now in the 4th inning, it's 4-3. So I'm well on my way.
Yeah, if those of you out there
Shout out Danny.
wanted to bet some hockey and assume the Leafs would cave in and lose in the first round
my
again,
God.
you're well on your way. They're down
getting
6,
smoked.
getting booed out of the building after one period. They're down 6-2 after 2. But check it out, and of course, as that's the offer again right there. FanDuel.com/Boston. Bet 5, get 200. You can scan that little code there, bing, if you want, and it'll take you directly to the site. So let's get into Sherrod and what you thought about tonight.
Oh my goodness. I'm as every minute passes by, I feel so much more confident about calling a sweep. Feel so much better about calling that.
High five.
Atlanta, I thought again the way they started this game, even though they were up double digits in the first quarter, it didn't feel like a team that was up by double digits. It felt like that the Celtics like, okay, y'all ready to play? All right, let's go. And then they just literally just like that took control of the game and never really were threatened. I mean, Atlanta got it to within like 8-9 points a couple times, in the second half, but there was never any point where the Celtics seemed as though they were the least bit threatened. And I don't know if you guys have talked about Derrick White yet.
A lot.
Oh, we've mentioned him.
Yeah.
20 minutes in, man.
Listen, Derrick was kind of a late bloomer as a player in college. He was a late bloomer as a late first-round pick. He may be a late bloomer as a star.
Right. He's late blooming into our hearts right now, right?
He's
He
becoming
belongs, Sherrod. Like Popovich said, he needs to. He now realizes that he belongs in this league.
That's true.
Well, not only it's not.
But I like where you're
belonging.
going, Sherrod, because we did allude to this earlier. As a star,
He's a star.
Because
right, Jimmy. What you said he was a star? What was
no,
that?
I'll
After
let you
like
finish.
the 20...
I'll let you finish.
Okay. I swear, man, these late D White bandwagoners. Anyway, that's another story, another day. Bottom line is this:
day one.
Yeah.
Get the apology can, man. You got one more series, John. I swear.
We were
Burn the
right.
tapes.
We were right.
Every game he plays better, the more right we get.
He molded into a completely different player over the offseason.
He's been the most consistent player on this team from top to bottom, because frankly, he's one guy that can absolutely own his matchup, and it seems that no matter who he's matched up with, he's outplaying him. I mean, there's a reason why Trae Young was minus 18 when he was on the floor tonight. And yes, a lot of different guys were on him, but Derrick White gave him problems, and Derrick White is giving him problems at the other end of the floor. They don't have anyone that can guard him. No one. I mean, they put someone who big on him. He's just going to go back right past him. He's got a nice little mid post up game. His defense is solid. His help defense is good. I mean, he is becoming a star before our very eyes. And we're not talking about like, first team All NBA, but we're talking like the number 3 guy in your big 3 who can get you basically 17, 18 points a night without a single play being called for him.
It wasn't that long ago where we said, "Oh, if you can get like 12, 13 points from Derrick White, that's a good sign for your team. Like that's a good sign for the Celtics." He's got a much bigger role now. I think Derrick White has the ability to become more of a household name amongst NBA fans, because I think a lot of casuals probably don't really. They don't follow him the same way obviously Celtics fans do or Spurs fans did, right? He's never been that type of player. I think it was that was why me and John used to get criticized, because we don't get basketball, because all the basketball heads would say, "Oh, he does this, he does that," all this stuff. Turns out he does do a lot of that stuff. He just wasn't doing it last year.
He just didn't do any of it last year.
When we said he wasn't doing any of it last year.
He played smart, he played
there.
heady, he moved the basketball.
Yeah.
He played pretty good defense. He just didn't make shots and didn't make plays. Not nearly as many as he's making now. But that's what we talked about.
He's got the swagger. He's got the confidence in him. Like he wants the ball, like we said earlier.
That's what we talked about, Sherrod, earlier when we were talking about White. We said it's amazing because, like, at times when things are getting rough or rocky, White settles them down.
Yeah.
And that's the stuff you expect your star player, that's the Jimmy Butler stuff. Give me the ball.
Yeah.
Let me figure it out. Let's run it. And he does that in like a really calming way, which is interesting because it's a counterbalance to Brown and Tatum are always going to be the stars, but we've seen at times when they try really hard to press the issue, at times when things are going bad or the Celtics need buckets or they try to put it all on themselves, there's varying degrees of success there. White seems to never make a bad – I mean, very rarely make a bad play. He's always making the right read. And he was the guy who kind of felt like the stopper. And a lot of times, when things weren't going to go off the rails, but just the guy to just give me the ball. Let me go get a bucket here. Let me get into the lane. Let's do this thing. He did it all game long. I mean, it's like he never does anything wrong. And then we said that, and he had like back-to-back turnovers. But other than that, he almost played a perfect game.
Well, and the other thing too that I really appreciate watching him play more and more is that he doesn't get flustered. And even with Atlanta, I thought really tried to kind of get into him a little bit, where you saw like DeJounte Murray like front of press in full court. He's just banging with him. And then when he gets to that top of the free throw line, if you haven't got a body clearly in front of him, he's going to blow right past you. And again, he did that multiple times in this game, made multiple hustle plays. And his defense has been just incredibly, just beyond solid. Listen, we talked about Rob being kind of the wild card. This team is going to win a championship. And I think there's a lot of truth in that. But Derrick White has evolved into a legitimate number 3 in a big 3 format. And you start looking around the NBA landscape at the top tier teams, you put him, Jaylen Brown, and Tatum up against just about any top 3. I think more likely than not, you're going to take the Celtics big 3.
But Marcus gets the photo shoot.
Oh,
Of course.
Yeah.
That's my guy.
rough line.
I'm not
That ain't gonna happen before the season, John. You know that.
Yeah.
I'm not. I can't.
We'll
say
see who
anything
gets
about
the
Marcus.
photo
I love
shoot
Marcus.
next year. We'll see
I
who's in it
love
next
Marcus.
year.
And speaking of Marcus, he had a pretty damn good game too. You know the thing he did. You know what I liked about Marcus, and then we're gonna get off of him. I promise.
Marcus Minute.
He was good, man. He did good taking it to the basket and finishing.
I thought the best stuff that he did was the stuff he didn't do. Like there were a couple of times where he looked like he was just ready to jack up a shot, and he just pull it out, run the offense, and just get it to a guy who had a better shot or a guy who's a better shooter. Love the little things that he did in this game, and when he had opportunities to make plays, he did that. So this was a good Marcus game.
Yeah.
And I'm done. That's all I got.
That's fair.
No, well, let's
There's
talk
enough
about
praise
Derrick.
to go around on a game like tonight, Sherrod.
I just want to mention real quick about Derrick. One last thing. It's the high basketball IQ. I mean, I think that's something that we're seeing now after a full season with the Celtics. And being in that position where teams are going to just go right towards Jaylen and Tatum, that's a benefit. But yeah, I think Sherrod, you're spot on there. On the fact that none of these guys can stay with him, and what he's giving you on the defensive end of the floor is just he's causing fits for the Atlanta Hawks. I mean, it seems like he knows Trey's tendencies. He's always knows where to be, whether it's on the offensive end or the defensive end, but especially on the defensive end of the floor, just knowing where to be, and again, just thinking 2 steps ahead. I think that's the part of his game that we didn't see much last year, as he was still trying to adjust to the new team, new system, and all that. But man, what a finished product we've seen after a full regular season and 2 games into the playoffs.
Let me ask you a question.
I will say this one thing, and Jimmy, I'll let you go. I promise. Just real quick, fans, leave freaking Trae Young alone and let him just struggle on his own. Because the minute he started hearing those overrated chants, all of a sudden Trae Young gets a bucket. Trae Young gets a steal. Let him struggle in his own, toxic.
Off that.
Yeah, he needs that. I mean, find different kind of ways to get in his ass. That the overrated chant, that seemed to be the trigger that got him going a little bit there. But again, this was a hell of a game. I mean, they handled their business. They didn't, frankly, choke up like I thought they would, which we've seen them do before against lesser opponents. So this was a quality win. Jimmy, you're about to jump in. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask a question, and this is kind of just to go on a little bit more about White. But I want to tie in Jaylen Brown to this too, because as good as Derrick White's playing, does he allow the Celtics to maybe not sit Jaylen Brown for an entire game? But we saw Jaylen Brown really favoring that finger a couple times tonight. He took himself out of the game. Derrick White's kind of allowing the possibility of them. All right, maybe we don't put Jaylen back in for a little bit. Maybe that finger is not where it needs to be. Is that you can go White Brogdon or White Smart like they've been doing. You have a number of different options with the way he's playing.
I think Brown's figuring out how to still be effective, even though he can't be himself. What it allows you to do is White kind of takes the Brown role of being a little bit more of a primary offensive weapon, attacking. Because Brown's clearly not comfortable enough to really break down defenders, dribble into traffic right now. He doesn't have the feel for it. So he's looking for different ways to score. Times where he's got it a little bit, away from people. He can just make 1 or 2 dribbles and go. And he tried to attack a couple times tonight. It wasn't terrible, but it's obviously an issue. I mean, that alley-oop he tried to catch, he went off the glass. He just didn't catch it. I don't know how many of the turnovers were hand-related either. They just looked like poor basketball decisions. I think Brown's thing is just it's in his head where he doesn't know how it feels, so he can't be as confident just going, full on JB. So, but White can. So White's doing that in his place. So I just think almost like their roles switch a little bit, Jimmy, where Jalen becomes a little bit more secondary, even though he scored 29 in game 1. He can become more of a secondary or third option on the team, and White steps up and he's the other guy. And that's kind of what happened tonight.
And when you do that for Atlanta, it's like, oh crap, what are we going to do now? Jalen might be overly aggressive, but Derrick White might be the Jalen.
It's like playing an injured receiver in football. I still got to put a good corner on this guy. He's freaking Randy Moss. What if he just freaking just lights me up? So you put him out as a decoy almost, and he's not quite that. But you never know, because at any point he could just Jaylen Brown power up and just go. So you can't ignore him when he's out there. His presence is useful, even if he's not 1,000% Jalen.
And it's not like he's getting treatment or anything on the sidelines. It's just it might just be
gotta
like
feel better.
Ow. That's it. F. So anyways.
No, I mean I love what we're watching out here. I mean this is the Celtics being the best version of themselves, and I know that's our good friend Brad Stevens speak right there, but it's true. I mean, when you've got Derrick White attacking the way he is and not settling for shots and getting other guys to go, and Tatum, I thought had I would say a great game, but I thought his court vision was as good as we've seen. That one pass where he throws it to Al Horford in the corner with 1 second on the shot clock after being double teamed. I mean, come on, that's a play that Tatum would not have made last year. I'm convinced of that. And when your best player is start making plays for others that he normally doesn't make or that he hasn't shown the ability to make, he becomes an incredibly dangerous weapon out there. Because now if you're Atlanta, how do you play Tatum? I mean, he can score from the dribble. He can score from all levels. And now he's finding guys open. How are you going to play him? And Atlanta, I give them credit. I mean, they came out the way you should come up after getting your ass whipped the way they did in game 1. They came out aggressive. They came out attacking. They were doubling Tatum. They were doing a lot of good things early on. And then you look up and it's like, okay, it's 22-11. They're feeling pretty good about themselves. And then, bam, Celtics hit a 3. Then another bucket. Then another bucket. And the next thing you know, they ended with a 17-3 run capped off by a 3-ball from Malcolm Brogdon in the buzzer, and all that great stuff that Atlanta did in the first quarter. They're down by 3 at the end. Well, that's just deflating.
And that was deflating, Sherrod. I was just gonna say that was deflating, especially when you got Rob Williams 3 points in a row in the paint, just getting comfortable down low. I think that was
they threw him the ball in the post.
Yeah.
He
that's
kicked it
what
out.
We like. Best version of yourself. Get Rob the ball.
Rob the ball.
Let me expand on that as we talk about best version of yourself. And again, this is something here we should tell you about. BetterHelp, one of our sponsors here. The Garden Report is brought to you by BetterHelp. And again, what it feels like to feel like your best self or the best version of yourself, and the type of things that get you there. When you're at your best, you do great things. When life gets you bogged down, you feel overwhelmed, things aren't going great the way that you want to, and working with a therapist can help you get closer to being the best version of you, because you'll feel empowered, prepared to take on everything life throws at you. If you've benefited from therapy, I know many of us have at one point or another, or whether you've been in it personally, it is something that is definitely beneficial for a lot of people if you are trying to figure out how to feel like the best version of yourself. So if you're thinking of giving it a try, BetterHelp's a great option. Convenient, flexible, affordable, entirely online. Fill out a brief questionnaire, get matched with a licensed therapist, switch at any time, no additional charge. If you want to live a more empowered life, therapy can help get you there. Visit BetterHelp.com/garden. Once again, BetterHelp.com/garden. Today, get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp.com/garden. And what else makes you feel good about yourself?
Ice cream. Oh.
Yeah. And t-shirts.
T-shirts too.
I'll give you a t-shirt. Jimmy will buy you an ice cream. If you find Jimmy Toscano, wearing
Ice
this
cream and
T-shirt at any
t-shirts.
point in
Damn,
time, he
Jimmy.
has to buy you an ice cream.
I
Those are
need the
rules.
T-shirt in order to do that, though. Yes.
Those are the rules. No,
Done.
you if you walk by Jimmy Toscano wearing that T-shirt,
Oh.
Jimmy owes you an ice cream.
Deal. That's a fact. I will do
Yeah.
that.
Deal.
I bet you Jimmy's a vanilla with sprinkles kind of guy.
Wow.
No, I don't even know what that means. I don't even want.
I'm trying to. Josue, what does that imply?
What does that mean?
Like just
Yeah.
plain, nothing.
do you
Do
know?
I come off as plain to you?
No, I just mean like
We
when it
jump
comes
through
to-
this screen right now,
You
man.
seem like people who just love the vanilla with sprinkles. I feel like they're just simple. They love ice cream, but like that's just their go-to.
The older I get, the more I
I'm
dial it back.
I'm into mint chip right now, to be honest.
I'm all about the chunky monkey, man.
Mint
Ben
is
and
for
Jerry-
brushing teeth.
Oh, yeah.
Chunky Monkey is good.
Oof. Oof.
I mean, if we're talking like Ben and Jerry's, I'm into the fish food. Fish food is legit.
I
Oh,
think
fish is classic.
Unbelievable.
Chunky Monkey is probably Ben and Jerry's best flavor because it's unique. That banana ice cream is pretty
Fish
rare.
food is unique too.
It's Rocky
all
Road,
right.
dude.
No, dude.
Yeah,
there's
Rocky Road-
chocolate
yeah,
fish
Rocky
in
Road's
it,
solid.
man.
Rocky Road's a classic. You can't go
Oh,
wrong
No,
with
aren't you a
Rocky
fish
Road.
fan? Isn't that your guys?
Yeah,
Yeah, look at him. What do you think? You might as well stamp fish on his forehead, dude.
I hate Jimmy.
Yeah,
God, I hate him.
He looks like a guy who's been to a dozen concerts.
It
Maybe.
looks like you just left a fish concert, dude.
God, I hate Jimmy.
Because they don't
Anyway.
go to just one or two; they go to a bunch. Those things.
Yeah, those friggin' guys. Anyway, we'll debate. We're too far. We're too like right in the middle of this show to get into ice cream stuff, but we will talk about it later. We'll circle back to ice cream flavors later on in the show. Rotations. Again, Joe, really tight. 8 men. I hit
We
my
knew
Grant
it.
bet.
We
I
knew
hit my
it.
Grant bet 2
Yeah.
games in, guys.
You nailed that one, I'll say. I didn't
Yeah,
expect
good
to see
call, Joe.
DNP CDs like that,
Yeah.
but it's happening.
Who's got the
Ye-
press stuff behind them? Is that Sherrod? Josue? I'm gonna mute for a minute, Josue. It's interesting, right? Not that he kind of said it pregame. I don't know if you were there, Sherrod, for it. Joe kind of said yeah, Grant. It's not. He kind of said it's not the series for Grant. And that they're happy with the minutes that they're giving here.
He's right.
And he's right. And some of us thought that was possible. Still, we're wondering if he would sneak in a minute or two. It is again really interesting. 0 is very little. It doesn't get less
I played
than 0. So
Yeah.
it still is almost it's weird. You can't. There's not 3, 5, 8 minutes out there for a guy who is a person who you might count on later
Is
on
a
in the
person.
playoffs. He's a person.
Yeah, but
This is a
when
person,
you
a real
cut him,
guy.
does he not bleed?
right, but
This
John,
guy's
when
supposed to
you,
be getting $20 million next
I
year.
know.
yeah, but when you're blowing out the first opponent, why shake the boat, right? I mean, you're not going to see something like that until he has to. He feels pressure to.
I don't think he has to. It's more. It's not that you need Grant. It's that just can he occupy a minute or two without the wheels falling off?
No,
the
man, he got
wagon?
bigger
And
things.
then
He got
give-
they're all the
and
bigger
give
things now,
people
man.
rest.
You got to make sure Robert gets his 20 to 25 minutes.
Give
Brogdon is
people
going to
a
play
little
more minutes.
rest. Give him a little rest.
Until these guys prove otherwise that they need that kind of help. I think these 8 guys got it down.
These are games where they're up 20 plus
Oh,
points.
Cornette
though.
got a minute.
I would think when they get some of these
Cornette
big,
was -5 in a minute.
yeah, dude. I didn't have any money on this game. But
Where's Bobby?
I was watching the Hawks.
Yeah, where's that
creep
card? He
closer to
snatched it from me
covering.
last night. Oh,
What were you
Jimmy.
watching, Jimmy?
I was watching the Hawks creep closer to covering. I mean, it went from 20 to 15 for no reason at all.
Yeah.
Just garbage points. But
Bobby,
somebody
Bobby.
definitely lost.
were your ears burning?
They must have been.
What's
We
that?
just talked Cornette. That's wild.
We were talking rotations, and that once again, Grant didn't see the floor, and then I just looked and I didn't realize Luke had come in, and he played a minute and was -5. Talk about it.
-5.
Your thoughts?
Limit-
Happened fast.
Your thoughts. Luke
Yeah,
Cornette.
that's
Your
that's
thoughts.
when you
Your thoughts.
that's when you
Your thoughts,
start
Bobby.
writing. I didn't catch any of that.
Conveniently.
Yeah, no.
What's
What,
the numbers
press?
in the locker?
What happened in the locker room or the,
Yeah.
or the press box?
Not a ton of movement yet. Still waiting on a couple players over there, but Joe talked. Overall, happy with this one. I think they did a lot of good things, and in terms of things we talked about earlier, managing the turnovers, those little things, they're just so in tune to them. And I love the way he's kind of conveyed that throughout this year, how important it is to rebound, how important it is to control that turnover margin. Their turnovers have just plummeted this year after that was one of their biggest problems last postseason. And the White performance is just such a luxury. That was kind of a big conversation in Joe's presser. How he just always makes the right play, as I said earlier, but also benefits from some of that pressure Tatum gets. You see again and again. I'm stunned the Hawks doubled Tatum on the perimeter as much as they did in the second half. I never think that's a good idea. I know Utah did it well earlier in the year, but you just see him take that little step back, fire to the weak side. Al's hitting a three. White's getting downhill for a second-level drive. They know how to handle those at this point. I never see the Celtics perplexed when double teams come Tatum's way, and I thought he was awesome passing the ball tonight.
Facts, my dog.
This is what your best player is supposed to do. I mean, when you opportunities to strike and get yours, take them. When opportunities present themselves to get others involved, you take them. You make the right basketball play. That's what Tatum's doing, I think, a better job of in this series, just making the right basketball play. And it's working. I mean, it's not only helping the team be successful, but they're smashing people along the way. They look a lot like that dominant team we saw at the start of the season.
Thanks, Andy.
By the way, I caught
Thanks,
DeJounte Murray as well.
I agree there, Sherrod. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Just wanted.
Oh, good.
Andy's been with us for a while. I just want to say thank you and
He
hello.
got so distracted.
Yeah. But yeah, Sherrod, I would agree there.
So I caught DeJounte Murray, by the way, and I thought he said something interesting. He didn't say a ton. He's excited to go home, fresh start, all that. But I asked him what got them going in that third quarter when he really went on that run. And he said it's all about being aggressive, but not for yourself. And I don't know where that message is going.
That's shit. Oh, I think you do.
Okay.
Say it one more time. What did he say?
He said the key's being aggressive, but not for yourself.
Ooh.
Ouchie.
Let's twist that and let's cause a little bit of infighting.
Let's cause trouble with
Bobby,
that.
tweet that out. I will
and then ask people your thoughts.
Wait a
I'll
second.
retweet it and I'll say,
We've gotten quotes wrong before. So
John's like, timeout. 20-second timeout. Where's my clipboard?
The anatomy of blowing up
He's
a
like,
quote
chill.
right here. We're seeing it happen.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, even if those weren't his exact words, but that sentiment, I think there's some truth to that. I mean, think about this. Trae Young led the NBA in total assists this year. So it's clearly he's a guy that has shown the ability to get others involved. But oh shit, oh, damn, John, why'd you do that?
I didn't do it. DC did it. I'm sure Blorp's gonna do something too.
Damn it. But no, I think there's.
Do they like each other? Do they play off well off each
That's
other?
the thing. I don't think it's a matter of liking. Can they complement each other? I think that's the bigger concern.
Right.
I'm not sure they complement each other because they had.
We're talking about Trae and Murray, right?
I thought you were talking about me and Bob.
Trae and that entire team, really.
Yeah.
I think you need to think about it from that entire team. I'm not sure. I think that's the bigger issue and bigger question.
There's got to be something he can do.
He's doing what he's supposed to do statistically as far as getting guys involved, but there's something missing. I think part of it is the fact that he has one Achilles heel, and that's defense. And I'm not sure he
got blocked 4 times tonight. There's something wrong when that happens. And
he's getting exposed on the other end too. The Celtics are getting the mismatch every time.
Yeah.
What did we hear over and over again when they made that acquisition? As Jimmy said, coach coming in this year, new coach in Quinn Snyder. He's gonna play off ball.
Yeah.
Do you see any of that?
No. But in his defense, who's the playmaker if he's playing off ball? And don't say DeJounte. Don't say DeJounte. Don't say DeJounte because he's not. That's not who he is. DeJounte is a guy that's at his best off the ball. Also, that's the problem. They don't have. They could use, like, for example, and again, they could use a guy like Malcolm Brogdon.
Yeah,
that's what they could use. They could use a guy that can play both on and off the ball, but at a high level. They don't have anyone like that.
The guard difference in this series is staggering, and they have great guards.
Yeah.
You thought they'd be able to go tit for tat a little bit between these backcourts, but the Celtics dominate them. I didn't think Smart was amazing tonight, but took it to the rim when he needed to. They ran some great plays getting him downhill. White slipping. How many times does this guy slip? It's great. That's how you beat switching, because like I said earlier, the Hawks are switching too.
Who the hell is laughing?
And they're doing it.
Bobby, what's going on next to you, buddy?
It's on
I
me.
know.
I hear it too.
Oh, okay, sorry.
But
Yeah, guys.
the Hawks don't do any of that stuff. It's all stagnant. It's all one-on-one. Maybe they'll get a good kick out here and there to Bogdanovich, but overall, their centers are getting neutralized. Their guards are getting neutralized. The shooting isn't great. I don't know where I said this was 5, John. I don't know how they win a game. They're going to get swept.
Yes,
Yeah.
I know.
I'm glad you brought that up, Bob, because I was going to bring up Collins. I mean, this is just like the worst kind of matchup for him, I feel like, because he's just unable to work in that transitional offense where the Celtics like to run.
He's invisible.
Atlanta's trying to keep up with the
forgot he
Celtics
existed.
offense, and he's just not that kind of scorer. Like he wants the half court set, he wants to establish himself, and they're not able to get him going. And a lot of that has to do with the Celtics defense as well. But yeah, I mean, the Hawks just don't have enough weapons to counter the Celtics, and you're waiting to see which guys to come up big. You saw Bogdanovich, give them a spark, but it wasn't enough. They need other guys. Sadiq Bey was non-existent today. Barely saw him out there. Hasn't been effective all series, or at least these first two games, like he was in the playing game. So they need those guys as well, because it makes things easier. It makes life easier for Trae Young and Dejounte Murray. But without that help, it's going to be like this. They're going to be fighting out that uphill battle in Game 3, I'm sure.
Yeah.
When your best players can't play, you're in huge trouble, because the two things I think about,
True.
and I don't know how you execute them, are minimizing Young's role in all of this and minimizing Capella's role in all of this. But those are two of your best 3 players. I don't know how you sit those guys down. I thought they might sit down Young for the rest of the game after Murray got going there, and just not feasible. The coach took over too late in the year. The roster's crunched at a
We're
bunch of
talking
different
too much about
positions.
the
They
Hawks.
clearly have work to do.
Yeah. The Hawks are cooked. They're done. We're done. They're done.
Yeah.
We don't have to talk about the Hawks. Like, they're done.
Who should we talk about then?
Just good things we saw tonight, things we need to work on. Like what? Like, give me your Rob takes, guys. Bobby, I haven't heard from you here. But Josue, Bobby,
Amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing. Like I said earlier, they're finding him in transition, which I think is a great way to involve him. He's stealing smaller
I'd rather
guys,
talk
which
ice cream
is
than
what
the
we
Hawks.
asked for
Yeah.
at the end of the regular season. Getting him touches. It doesn't last, John. I think you mentioned that earlier. It does dwindle as the game
yeah.
goes
Why
on.
is
It's
that?
almost like it's an
That's what I wanted to get
early.
at. What happens? He looks like oh my god.
I'm sure it's emphasized
Yeah,
coming into the.
lost you 1 second, Bobby.
Bobby's gone. Bobby is gone.
You muted yourself by accident. Go ahead, Bobby.
Yeah,
As a
It's
spaceship
emphasized.
takes off.
I'm thinking it's emphasized in the meeting, in the pregame, all these different situations
And
where
then they forget about it.
game plans, and then they fall back
Right.
into the old stuff. Yeah, it's just skip passes, it's offensive rebounding, and wherever else he can get touches, you got to put the ball in his hands. But you know what else it is, John? They slow down in the second half. I thought they did it again tonight. Pace wore down a little
Yep.
bit as the game went on, and you
I'm
understand that
telling
after
you,
up 20.
if they didn't hit the shots if they didn't hit shots at the percent that they did, that slowdown would have killed them. The only reason the Hawks didn't close it to a very dangerous level was because they were able to get that shot every time to make it. You have it go back from 8 to 11, 8 to 10, up to 13, 14, and then back down. But they just hit a lot of shots, but they slowed down like crazy again. It was infuriating to watch. I don't know why they do that. It's a strange thing. That's the only thing to nitpick is, it didn't rear its head because they made shots, but they slowed down again.
Yeah, and usually what you hear is, we don't know why that happened. You hear human nature. You hear
Yeah, don't
lead's
do that.
huge. And you heard the exchange between Joe Mazzulla and Dan pregame, John.
Yeah, we played it.
I don't know how to feel about it. And I've heard Joe say that a couple of times this year. Oh, what are we going to go up by 40? What are we going to go up by 50? The leads are going to diminish. And these are massive leads. What was the biggest one tonight? 24-ish?
Yeah.
They didn't hit 30, but these are really hard leads to squander. You think a team that can string possessions together a little more efficiently and consistently and has more firepower and better benches can probably complete those comebacks.
It's a really easy question to answer without getting defensive. Like, obviously, we don't want to be giving away leads like that, so we just have to maintain better focus there, and not go through little lapses. It's a 48-minute game. We got to make sure we play 48 minutes. Done. You move on. Next question. There's no reason to turn it into a thing. It happens. There's letdowns, but that's the only thing you can look at is changing style and approach and getting comfortable. The thing is, though, you're just not going to be able to get comfortable once you get out of this series because you're going to be playing better teams and closer games. So it's just not really going to be a luxury. So I just don't think it's really a thing. It's why I'm not like super concerned right now either. Like you go up 32 on a team and you're like, these guys, what are we even playing this game for? Like,
well, do you guys think this series is going to come too easily for them? And then the opponents beyond this series?
No, because I mean,
what do you think, Sherrod?
I don't think so. I don't think it's going to come too easy for them because you see what happens if they just kind of walk through this thing and be comatose. Your ass is down by 11 points in the first quarter to a team that you know you're significantly superior to. So once you get that wake-up call, which I think they got in game 2 tonight, you just make sure you don't allow that team to get comfortable against you. He's behind Bobby. There you go. You just got to find a way to just keep your foot on the gas and just put this team away in 4 games because this series should not go more than 4 games.
One guy we haven't mentioned yet, and he actually – wait, who do you guys think leads the team in plus-minus through 2 games?
Is it Brogdon?
Hauser.
I'm going to say it's Brogdon.
It's this guy.
Sam Hauser.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it's Al?
It's Al Horford. According to Twitter, so you know it's true.
Yep. Good research, Jimmy.
Yeah.
YouTube clips and Twitter.
It might not be true, but if it is, that's from me. Point being, Al Horford
for the purposes of my argument,
Al Horford's having a very Al Horford series. He's not. We haven't even mentioned him yet, but that's just peak Al Horford. He's doing all the little things for them. We talked about Rob already, but the difference we're spending a lot of time talking about the guard play. But
tied
we already
with Tatum, Jimmy, for plus 16.
All right, we'll take it. What they're doing to eliminate basically the Hawks' bigs is pretty impressive.
It really is.
And Al Horford's obviously a huge part of that. I mean, he's not going to light up the box score points-wise, but, I mean, look at that plus 20. I mean, that just kind of tells you that when he's in the game, good things are happening. And so he's, we talk about facilitators. I mean, he's the guy doing it, when you don't even think about it. We talked about Derrick White kind of being the calming presence, John, and, hashtag white noise and all that stuff. That's Al Horford for, like, the big men side of things, right? I mean, He can just kind of go in there. He's not going to make any major mistakes. White, Brogdon, Horford, these guys just play
adults
smart
in
basketball.
the room.
Yes, adults are in the room, exactly.
And Al's very strategic in when he's going to make his presence known. Like, think about it, the first couple of games, he's had moments where he's been able to kind of energize his teammates and the crowd. And he doesn't have a lot of moments like that, but they're extremely important because they usually come when the Celtics are either putting some distance between themselves and the opponent, or they're coming at a point where they need some kind of wake-up call, get your ass into the game, get your head into the game type of moment. And Al's been providing that.
It's like he never left. I keep saying it. The defensive intensity and versatility. I do think they're playing him back a little bit more this year. I'd like to see him start switching in different matchups down the line if that proves necessary, because I think he's capable of it. I wonder how much of that is them kind of maintaining him versus that being their best defense, but he does a great job with it. He can play all these different coverages. And when you talk about players getting respect and credit for this defense, and that was the topic pregame, nobody got a single Defensive Player of the Year vote on this team. We'll see how the all defense voting stacks up. But this defense, it looks like 2022 again. They're flying around. They're blocking everybody. They're switching and taking guys out of games. It's going to continue, I think, against some of these better teams because it's energy. I think it's connectedness. It's attention on the rebounding.
It's the difference. They
follow these guys up.
If they do just flip a switch and just run through these teams, then we just can't do a show for 82 games in the regular season anymore.
Because what's the point?
They'll just prove that none of it matters.
what I'll do is next year I'll go 82 straight games and I won't mention Jaylen Brown a single freaking time. Okay.
Okay, deal.
Okay. If they rip through these teams, because that'll be the only drama that'll be worth going there, is whether or not we'll talk about them. So yeah,
All right, I'm
and
gonna.
this is a fair point. And again, it's sometimes as simple as this. It's Rob. Like we talk about, like, and Bobby, you can excuse yourself. I know you got a boogie, but he's gonna go back to the press
See you,
conferences.
Bob.
See you, Bob. Bye, Bob.
Bobbert.
Hey,
A
Bob.
lot of
Hey,
people don't
Bob.
know his real name is Bobbert.
Bobbert. Yeah. It is. It's as simple as that sometimes, right? Like, it's like the equivalent of saying it's a make-miss league, Jimmy, when it comes to the Celtics, is like it's Rob.
It's a Rob in or Rob out league.
It's Rob, Rob in, Rob out night. Like when Rob is himself, everything changes. He looked like a superhero in the first half. He was freaking everywhere, and like Atlanta, the other teams get like anxious. They have to locate him at all times because he's swooping in, coming at angles, on the boards, crashing, making moves. Like he's so like disruptive. His presence, he's just everywhere when he's that way, and he moves so fast laterally, gets up everywhere he goes. He's such a friggin' problem. And on defense, you're just always worried about him. No, but it's amazing. And then like you see him like kind of be less effective at times, and you're like, oh, where's that other guy? But when he's on, it's a different ball game completely.
Yeah, I mean, what makes Rob so unique is that when you start looking at the things that he does and you start canvassing the entire NBA, you realize how much of a unicorn he is for the Celtics. You realize that when he's at the top of his game, there really aren't guys in his class that can do the things that he's capable of doing. And the biggest issue he's always had is just health and consistency. But you're starting to see, I think, in this game in particular, them actually look at him as a scoring option, and not just a guy that can just throw lobs to when the defense is, allowing that to happen. I mean, the fact that they were actually looking to dribble drive and found Rob layups at the basket was great to see, because you never see that with any type of steady diet. And I'm hoping that as time moves on, we'll start seeing them look for Rob in that capacity more and more, because I think he can be really impactful.
Yep.
Yeah, and even when I just think his presence, it really makes players think twice. Like that's part of the reason why Trae Young isn't slicing and dicing his way to the hoop. You know what I mean? Like it's part of the reason why we've already said that they've pretty much erased a couple of the big men on the Hawks. Capella was nothing tonight, and Collins was nothing tonight. So even if he's not ripping down boards and you're not watching the numbers pile up like 8 points, again, like you want to see the way he started the first two games here. You'd like to see him finish with more points than that, and we don't really know why they get away from it. But point being, even when he is out there not contributing in the box score, just his presence, is just his ability to keep plays going, getting just alter shots, get in the way of guys, keep rebounds alive. Like that's what he's great at, right? So, and we're seeing it more now than we've seen it all season. So again, this is one of those things where. Were they just treating him with bubble wrap? Was he trying to get his condition up? I don't know. Maybe some of it, maybe a little bit of all of it. Maybe all of it is a little bit true.
He literally did. He played their bigs off the floor. It was unbelievable in this one. We'll do closing thoughts in just a second as these guys are in the locker room doing locker room things. We want to tell you again very quickly, one more sponsor here. Sorry, guys. It's you guys. You're the reason.
Apologize for this.
You're the reason we have the sponsor, so thank you. Athletic Greens, by now you know it. I think it's time you guys reinvest in Athletic Greens if you haven't in a little while.
It's time.
Or if you've been ignoring it and just drowning this out like white noise, maybe start to think about actually taking control of your situation and your health and your life here. Think about Athletic Greens
completely.
Yeah, get in on it. Get in on the action here. You got to get that summer bod rocking. You want to kind of take care of all different things. And we're not just talking about physical appearance. We're talking about mental clarity, focus, recovery, your immune system, all things that kind of contribute to you being a better you. Check it out. Athletic Greens, 75 vitamins, minerals, probiotics, adaptogens in one scoop. You put it in a cup of water. You're done for the day. That's all you need. Go to athleticgreens.com/garden for 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs if you get it right now. Once again, athleticgreens.com/garden.
Hit him with the t-shirt.
And hit him with the t-shirt.
Hit him
We'll
with
get
that.
there.
That thing looks nice. You want to get your t-shirt in time for the the deep playoff run here.
Walking around the garden, yeah, absolutely.
You want to get you'll get
t-shirt.
ice cream too.
Yeah.
Ice cream comes as soon as
That's a sweet ass t-shirt.
It's a great
It is.
t-shirt.
Guys,
Athletic Greens, deliberate cold exposure, direct sunlight, and you're on your way every morning.
There it is.
That's all it takes.
Anyway,
Beef organs, of course, too. But.
Oh yeah, got to stack it. Guys, final thoughts here on this game. And again, it's easy to just say it's over, but I just can't see a way things change. I will say one thing: Atlanta got something a little bit going when they went small. I wonder if that's something that they try a little bit more here. Maybe not going Capella and Collins there at the start. I wonder if that's something they might try.
I don't think they have a choice.
Well, I mean, it clearly worked. You might talk about bringing Bogdanovich into the starting lineup here and seeing if they go small. That was definitely more effective. Bogdan. But I do wonder if they would, if that would change the Celtics rotation a little bit. Wonder if maybe you end up seeing Grant in that situation too.
Yeah.
So I do wonder if here's the thing: you can't just roll it back out, right? Like if you're the Celtics, you just get to be the Celtics in this scenario. The Hawks can't just be the Hawks and just hope that everything goes great for them. If you play it straight up, something weird you're going to lose. You got to do something weird. So I do wonder if they get creative here.
I think they don't have a choice. I mean, if they're seriously want to get back in the series, they have to make a radical decision, a radical lineup tweak. And Bogdanovich, that would make a lot of sense. Good. He had a good game. I
love that guy. He could play on my team any day.
He's feisty. You can tell he's a guy that gets under your skin a little bit. But the problem that he's running into is that the guys that he's having to deal with are just better players. And they're not allowing like the tough, feisty dynamics that he brings to the game become factors because they know I'm better than you. Jaylen Brown's looking at him thinking, I'm better than you. Tatum, I'm better than you. Malcolm Brogdon, yep, I'm better than you. Derrick White, yep, I'm better than you. And so that's the issue that the Hawks have. I mean, you start looking at their roster and the players that they're going with, none of them are really better than the Celtics. So they can't win their individual matchups, and they don't play well enough as a group. And if you've got those two things going against you, it's just a matter of when, not if you're going to – we're going to hit the 1, 2, 3 Cancun chant because that's coming. It's coming.
It's direct from Atlanta to Cancun will be
1, 2, 3 Cancun. Yeah.
Let's do it.
It's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming.
Are we doing final thoughts? Is it time to go?
It's your final thought, Jimmy.
Yeah, it's your time, Jimmy.
I guess I'll just circle back to just the Derrick White phenomenon that's happening before our eyes here. Just love what this guy's giving them. I think he's like embodying what this team needs to play like on both ends of the court if they want to go where we all think that they can go. And maybe last year he didn't feel like he had we did pile on him a little bit last year, but he was the new guy, right? Maybe he feels like he has a little bit more say in things this year. Maybe he feels like he has a little bit more of a leadership role, and it's just more comfortable for him, right? He doesn't have to think as much out there. He's just playing his game, and he's comfortable with his role and with the guys on his team. And I'm not going to say they're falling in line behind him because I think we all know they do go as, Tatum and Brown go. But if Brown's not really 100% right now, White sliding into that role, Tatum, Sherrod, you mentioned it earlier. Tatum's doing everything right now with the passing and just just facilitating and being the MVP-esque type player that we saw at the beginning of this year. These guys are on a roll. Honestly, the Hawks are nothing but roadkill at this point. They're like you said earlier, John. They're just going to be a footnote on this playoff run. And we didn't even talk about it, John, but Giannis is another. The Bucks are another team going through some stuff right now. If the Celtics can what they got to do is stay healthy because everyone around them seems to be falling apart. With Giannis in Milwaukee, you got Hero in Miami. Guys are dropping right now.
This is a game changer. It's funny too because you're not in the Milwaukee bracket here. But, if they were without Giannis, that's who you would have wanted to play in round 2 if they make it that far out rather than Philly for sure. But this is a problem down 1-0 if he misses that second game. That's
Jimmy Butler smells blood.
Blood.
If you take Giannis off, if Giannis doesn't play, the Heat, in my opinion, should be favored in that series.
Yeah.
Giannis is that whole team. I don't care. You can talk about their depth all you want. He's everything they do. So I'm going with the Heat. If Giannis is either A, not playing, or B, 70% or whatever, that's going to be an interesting series for sure.
Middleton did drop 33 last game for all the Middleton's done people out there.
Yeah.
But that's going to be a tough one. So that's an interesting one to watch out for. Celtics series shifts to Atlanta for game 3. We got the whole cast of characters going. Sherrod, Bobby, Jimmy, and Amit going down to Atlanta to make sure
I'm not going to Atlanta.
Road trip.
to make sure those guys behave. So he's going to go down there as well. So we've got full CLNS media coverage there.
Amit's going to Atlanta.
ATL,
Wow.
yep. He's going to ATL.
I want a video diary of this whole trip.
All those guys are
Jimmy.
really bummed.
No, you don't.
They're really bummed it wasn't Miami, but that's
Make
fine.
the money worth it.
Yeah. So we're going to wrap it, but thank you guys for hanging out with us. We're back on Friday night. Bruins, for those of you interested, there'll be Bruins post-game shows over on our Bruins Ringside channel. Any of you guys?
I went last night.
Yep, I was there at the Garden too. That was fun.
It was electric.
Any of you guys want to check out some Bruins coverage, hop over to our Bruins YouTube channel, subscribe there. We'll have live post-game shows, much like we do here at the Garden Report over on that situation throughout the postseason as well. Could have 2 very deep playoff runs, so a lot of content.
I might have
a lot of
to
stuff.
crash a Bruins post-game sometime.
I'd like it.
I might have
Jump
to do
in.
that.
You need some new hardware, but yeah.
I almost bought a big hat yesterday. They're $100, which kind of made me not do it.
Worth it.
Did you see have you seen these things?
No.
They're massive hats.
Yeah.
I think I saw a kid wearing one. So if you actually go back to the Malcolm Brogdon hit the half-court shot in the first quarter, I'm pretty sure he kind of hugged a kid who was sitting courtside, and a kid had a massive Celtics hat on, and I was looking to get one of those yesterday for the Bruins game, but they're kind of hilarious and awesome. They're just big hats. Yeah. And I mean comically large hats.
Yeah, get one. All right, we're going to wrap it.